None of you were complaining when 400 horsepower Evos were beating everything in your town, from Mustang Cobras to Trans Ams and Pontiac GTOs, unless you're the ones getting gapped by the Evo. None of you were complaining when 500 horsepower Evos were beating 600 horsepower C6Z06 Corvettes, including Lambos and Vipers. Do you really think it'd be that hard to make at least 400 horsepower on this BMW today with how easy they are to tune? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Mod Stars. I'm your host, Z. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And finally, back to the Sleeper series. We can say that after a whole year of dealing with the Mopar War and winning. So thank you all for growing the channel so quick through that series as well. I had no idea it was going to take off the way that it has, and it's still growing through those same videos. So for anybody who's new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. And I appreciate you all and just taking time out of your life to listen to what I have to say. For all the day ones who were there from the beginning and listened to all the different cars and mods we talked about and was part of the discussion, I thank you all as well. And I know you didn't ask where I've been, but I'm going to tell you where I've been because it's really cool. If you haven't seen the vlog or the cinematic that I did, the NHRA invited me to Phoenix, Arizona for the national drag racing event out there. So shout out to NHRA and Cooper Bogetti for sharing the opportunity. Arizona was awesome. So just shout out to anybody in Arizona. The people were amazing. The NHRA staff, the hospitality was just top notch. I appreciate everybody that was there. And I'll tell you guys right now, Arizona car culture is legit. I was in traffic for like 5 minutes, for the first 5 minutes of being in Arizona. And just the cars around me were awesome. I've even saw cars that were just complete builds, which you don't see anymore at all. Show car status that last time I saw was like 15 years ago, back when car culture was at its peak. And it brought so much joy to me to see that. Even the dealerships are cool. Like Dodge dealerships out there, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm gonna say it anyway. They had jailbreak Hellcats just sitting at the front of the lot. Even the cops out there have 392 scat packs. So like Arizona's got it going on. So it's been amazing. And when I got back from that event, it's been nonstop, just photo shoots. I didn't just get into motorsport photography and cinematography. I got into just automotive photography and video as well. So personal, photo shoots for car owners and motorcycle owners at these different car shows. Even did a YouTuber's car. That was pretty cool. Helgato, if you guys know who that is. Super cool. And whatever I can share on Instagram, I share. Anything that's exclusive to the client, I give to them. They can share with whoever they want to or not. So all the hidden gems out there, if you know, you know, and that's what it is. But anyway, I got a lot more of that stuff coming up this weekend and next week. So let's get into the video now. This is the Evo 10. And we were supposed to get an Evo 11, but Mitsubishi kind of went out of business at that time. So BMW made this G20 330i, and this is the unofficial Evo 11. It has better steering than the Evo 10, better interior. It is more user-friendly in every way, from long road trips, driving in different weather, and doing track days, including drag racing. Another thing is that it's got the same size engine, same 0 to 60 time, same quarter mile time, and they go for the same price. So I'm sure, based on me saying all that, a lot of you are upset, and you might be thinking, well, that doesn't make sense to compare an old car to a new one. Well, the aftermarket doesn't care, and that's why we love it. None of you were crying when 400 horsepower Evos were beating everything in your town, from Mustang Cobras to Pontiac GTOs and Camaro SSs and WS6 Trans Ams. None of you were crying when 500 horsepower Evos were beating 600 horsepower Z06 Corvettes, including Dodge Vipers and Lamborghini Gallardos and maybe some stock Porsche turbos at the time. That's why we compare old cars to new. We do it all the time, first off. And that's what makes the aftermarket so great. It either makes the conversation relevant, in this case, or irrelevant, like your argument. And to counter-argue the next objection, I've seen comments where people say the amount of effort putting into the B48, you might as well get the B58. What do you think the B48 is? It's the B58 with 2 less cylinders. And oh, by the way, that Evo that we're comparing to, because we love to compare apples to apples on this channel, only came in a 4-cylinder, 2-liter. So guess what? Yeah, it's also worth it. Link in the description below. There's an A90 or A91 Supra with a B48 in it. That is gapping a B58. So, to further drive this point home, High Performance Academy, their podcast, anytime they talk to anybody who does anything with Evos and the 4G63 engine, they will tell you, now I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, slightly, the best performing, daily driven Evos make anywhere from 400 horsepower to 500 horsepower. Do you really think it's that hard to make 400 horsepower on this BMW? Especially with how easy they are to tune now and have been for the last decade? Here's how to do it with 4 mods. Here's how you do it. VRSF downpipe, heat exchanger. You could also get it from Dinan, JB4 or ecutek tune, and ethanol. That's it. You can either get the ethanol from the BMS kit, which probably runs about E60 max, or IPOS has a full E85 kit. That is no different than what Evo people have done over the last nearly 2 decades. Bolt-ons and flex fuel. They don't even make 400 horsepower on bolt-ons at full E85. 380 max, and I'm being generous. And somebody's probably going to say, oh, well, just upgrade the turbo, they'll do it. Yeah, they will. But guess what? They'll upgrade the turbo on the BMW. Apples to apples. And in stock form, just to further prove this point, let's go back to stock form really quick. To the wheels on both cars, the power is identical, horsepower and torque. But even though the Evo is 75 pounds lighter than the 330i, who gets in the power quicker? That BMW. Who reaches peak boost and peak torque at 1800 RPM? That BMW. Who can consistently launch the car without worrying about breaking anything on the driveline? That BMW. From a roll, who has a better chance of getting into power quicker than the other car? Because it's an 8-speed? That BMW. Yeah, and the Evo has a high revving, power band, very linear, and we love it for that. But there's pros and cons to every setup, and it seems like you could do less up front on the BMW than you could do on the Evo. At least cost less. Fewer steps, simpler process. So let's go back to that B48 argument really quick. That A90 Supra has a B48 in it. I'll leave the link in the description below. They're already light. And having an engine with 2 less cylinders on it makes it even lighter. So if that B48 can make close to 400 horsepower, and if it doesn't make close to 400 horsepower, it doesn't matter. Because at this point, it's got torque like a diesel truck, again, compared to the Evo where it won't. Yeah, it's going to move, probably get into the 11s. That A90 Supra is easily in the 11s, not making 500 horsepower already. Easy. Probably, actually, you know what? Probably in the 10s. If not close to it. Without weight reduction. And when that thing makes 500 horsepower, I guarantee you, it could probably run a 981 at best. So, it already got the B58. All of the arguments that you could have made are already addressed. So let me ask you this. What happens when people start making 500 horsepower consistently on this platform? The car's cheaper than the straight 6 powered cars on BMWs. Insurance might be a little bit better as well because of the smaller engine. Who knows? Who knows, right? But I imagine parts are a lot cheaper too. And 500 horsepower is really all you need. Heck, you might need 4 to 450 max. So don't let, YouTube and other forms of social media confuse you, fool you about cars that are daily driven that are built. Do you really think that Supra with the slicks and the parachute on the back, regardless of what your Supra it is a daily driven car? No. You think any car with slicks on it is a daily driven car? No, not in that setup. You can't drive in slicks every day. You can't drive in the wet road or in the cold with slicks. Not well, good luck. A lot of those cars, I'm talking about from 1320 video, TRC back when they did street racing, Big Clyde 84, and the list goes on. High-tech Corvette, all of them. A lot of those cars, shop cars. And even if they are shop cars, how reliable are they when they run? How often do you watch videos like that where cars don't break? So I just want to give you guys context to what you're watching and the reality behind it. You know, a lot of us aren't building race cars, and a lot of those cars are that. So to have people say, oh yeah, it's a daily, knowing good and well it's not, or you could daily it, but you don't because it's not built for that, it's a waste of words. So let's take a practical approach to this, even though one could argue modifying vehicles is an impractical thing. 400 to 500 horsepower is plenty. Look at the ATS-V and successor of the ATS-V, Cadillac. About 400, 450 max, stock, right? Doesn't take much to hit 500 horsepower. So when you hit that power level on these cars, whether it's that little Supra or specifically in this case, that 330i, yeah, I can guarantee you're going to be on the door of some Hellcats. Shouldn't be an issue. And I don't pick on Hellcats because, you know, I've addressed all the hate and such over the last year. I just don't like ignorant people or bullies in anything. It doesn't matter what you drive. So that's that. But anyways, that's all I have to say. It's a sleeper. It's got a lot of potential. And what can be done with this car at that level has been done. It just has to be done more often and be refined. So even if, out of all the evidence that I provided with you all today, you don't like what you hear, you don't have to agree. But that doesn't make me wrong. Like, subscribe, and share. If you don't know, now you know. Do what you want to do.